This boot costs $200 more than this boot, but does it actually protect more? And that got me thinking, what about all my other gear? Helmets? Gloves? Chest protector? Is expensive gear really worth it, or are you just paying for poppy name brands? After years of free riding with my friends, and now diving seriously into motocross, learning the hard way after a few crashes, I've realized that not all gear is made equal. But before we get into the boots, helmets, and all that fun gear, here's how we'll see if a piece of gear is worth spending your money on in just 3 easy steps. How long do you plan on riding? Where do you plan on riding? And what's your skill level? If a piece of gear checks all 3 boxes, it's probably worth spending good money on. If not, you can save money in that area. So let's work our way up from our toes, to our brain bubble, starting with boots. Okay, so boots, right? The literal base foundation of your ride. They're absorbing the impact of every crash, jump, harsh turn, and landing. So they're one place you really don't want to skimp depending on our rules of thumb here. Let's look at it this way. When you jump from a cheaper boot to a more expensive boot, you're not paying for better looks. You're paying for better protection and structure. Some things you're gonna notice in some of the higher end boots right off the bat is how stiff they are. Also, is that they're gonna have better ankle protection. Some even come with an ankle brace, which is a huge plus. A lot more support from the material to keep your legs from twisting, and a ton of layers to protect you from hard impacts and roosts. They're also gonna have a nice fitting toe box and better hinges, allowing good motion while still having that durability and breathability. Most foot and ankle injuries besides major crashes usually happen on weird turns where you're dabbing your foot out and it gets caught in a rut. Or sometimes you just land a little bit off. Here, I have an example for you guys. During this race, I had messed up this jump and, well, down I go. I landed directly on my right foot off the table and just slid right after. I had sprained my ankle there, but the example here is that these were the boots that I was wearing, and I still wear them because they come with an ankle brace that slips right into the boot. And who's to say that if I was wearing any other boot that didn't have an ankle brace that day, I probably would have broken my ankle. So I saved myself a hospital bill and ultimately the health of my ankles. So if you're riding occasionally with friends, staying on clean, mellow trails, cheaper can get you by for a good while. But if you're riding often, hitting jumps at the track, crashing, competing, or just trying new things and plan on riding for a long time, then that's where boots actually earn their price tag. For me, boots are one of those upgrades that I'd make early. Not because cheap boots are useless, but because, well, legs are made for walking, and you want those protected to the max. All right, now working our way up to knee protection. Knee protection is one of those topics you can argue about forever. Pads and guards versus braces. But here, we're just gonna stray away from that and keep it simple. To keep it blunt here, guys, the truth is, knee braces are gonna protect you more than knee pads and guards, and that's why they're gonna be a little bit more expensive. Braces don't just take impacts, they actually limit how far your knee's gonna twist, and they can also prevent you from hyperextension. You don't want that. As to where your pads are mainly gonna be impact protection only. Braces also tend to have a nice little lockout function that you can see here. That's why you're gonna usually see carbon fiber and more rigid materials in braces that are molded around the knee versus your foam and plastic that are in the pads and guards. So if you're riding often, riding on the track, competing, or pushing your limits, knee braces are definitely gonna be worth your expense. Now, if you're riding more occasionally and doing softer trails, you can probably scrape by with some pads or guards. They'll do you just fine. So, yeah, knee braces are expensive, but if we're comparing it to an ACL surgery that can be upwards of $10,000 to $20,000, I'm gonna go ahead and buy the knee brace just to make sure we prevent that injury. I've personally dumped my bike going maybe 5 miles an hour without knee protection, and this is what my knee ended up looking like. So now whenever I ride, I personally wear knee braces. I don't really cut corners in that department either. I don't think you should either. It's nice to have the knees, you know, nice and healthy for when we get older. And I wholeheartedly trust my braces because they've saved me from some gnarly accidents. All right, let's keep on moving up. Chest protection. Whoops. There we go. Yeah, there's plenty of budget-friendly chest protectors out there, but where you ride really matters on this one, because if you're wearing the wrong one in the wrong place, you can end up looking like you just took a 12-gauge blast straight to the chest. This is where I think some people get confused. Not all chest protection is meant to protect you in the same ways. Now, a roost guard, which tends to be on the cheaper side sometimes, is mainly there to stop rocks and debris, as to where a real chest protector is designed to absorb impacts, protecting your ribs, chest, spine, and sometimes your shoulders. If you're just riding trails behind friends, then a roost guard is going to be totally fine in that case. But once you're riding track, jumping, crashing, or riding faster in general, that's when impact protection starts to matter a bit more. This is where you'll find that spending more usually means getting better material, thicker padding, better coverage, and overall energy absorption instead of throwing some cheap plastic over your tatas. So yeah, you can save money here if you're riding mellow, but if you plan on taking motocross seriously, then a proper chest protector is definitely worth the upgrade. Just one of those things you don't want to think about right before you hit the ground. Now, for the one piece of gear that I will never compromise on, a helmet. The one piece of gear that protects everything you are. Cheap helmets do exist, and they can protect you, but they won't protect you like a properly made helmet would. That extra cost usually goes into construction, material, and meeting safety certifications. Things you definitely don't want to look past. A good helmet isn't just a hard shell. It's impact absorption padding, comfort, proper fit, concussion liners, and sometimes even an airbag system to keep it all in one place. Cheap helmets might crack, flex too much, or just feel too flimsy when they hit the ground. My SM8 Alpinesters helmet has a breakaway visor that breaks away nice and easy during a crash to prevent your neck from rotating with the visor during it. I've crashed a handful of times, having to learn the hard way at first, then quickly realizing that just getting a decent helmet makes the world of a difference. After the crash, you're actually glad you spent the cash. So here's my rule. If you're serious about riding, just don't compromise on a helmet. Go spend the money up front because your head isn't worth gambling over. And if you crash hard enough, you may never ride again. Now to kind of top things off is gonna be your goggles, gloves, and your kit. The stuff you don't need to splurge on right out of the gate. Gloves obviously protect your hands, and they also help with grip. A decent pair will do the job, whether it's a pair of shop gloves or a nice pair of racing gloves. The only thing that really matters here is comfort over your brand name. Personally, I like to run skinnier gloves with frontal protection just because I feel like I can grip the bike a little bit better. Goggles are the same deal, guys. Make sure they fit, make sure they don't fog and you can see clearly. Everything else comes after, like lenses, rollers, and tear-offs. And a kit. If you're not racing, cheap moto pants and a no-number jersey will do you just fine on track days. If you're just riding with friends, hey, a long sleeve shirt and some nice jeans will do you just fine. So basically, that's my rule of thumb for gear. Start cheap where it's safe to do so, and upgrade where it actually matters. Boots, knees, chest, and most importantly, helmet. These are all areas you don't want to leave compromised. Everything else you can kind of save on. After a few years of riding, some crashes, and learning the hard way, I can honestly say investing in the right gear is worth it. Not because of the brand names, but because it keeps your riding longer, safer, and lets you enjoy the sport without paying the price later. Literally. So spend smart, upgrade as you go if you're taking it seriously, and spend your money on things that protect you the most. All right, guys, that's gonna be it for this video. And if you like this breakdown, make sure to hit that like button. And if you want more tips and gear talk, make sure to hit that subscribe button. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.